Welcome to our Hong Kong Brief Show. Today, we've got some fascinating stories lined up for you. First up, a Hong Kong martial arts film, The Twilight of the Warriors, Walled In, has wowed audiences at the Cannes Film Festival. The movie, set in the historic Kowloon walled city, aims to boost local tourism by spotlighting this once densely populated area. The filmmakers are hopeful that renewed interest in the Kowloon walled city will draw tourists to Hong Kong. Next, the BC Rangers' recent triumph in the Sapling Cup has highlighted a pressing issue in Hong Kong's youth football scene. Club owner Philip Lee Fai Lap stresses the need for an urgent revamp in youth development programs. With the Hong Kong FA's Vision 2025 and the ambitious Hong Kong 2034 project aiming for World Cup qualification, it's clear that significant changes are needed to elevate the sport locally. Lastly, Hong Kong is grappling with a surge in scams, with incidents occurring every 13 minutes. Victims are losing money to increasingly sophisticated fraud schemes, and there's a growing call for a joint platform to tackle this issue. Legislative Council member Johnny Ng Kitchong suggests collaboration between financial, IT, and telecommunications sectors to reduce these fraudulent activities. Please stay tuned for the detailed coverage of these stories. South China Morning Post, a Hong Kong martial arts film, The Twilight of the Warriors, Walled In, has garnered significant attention at the Cannes Film Festival, receiving a standing ovation. Directed by award-winning Soi Cheong Po Soi, this mega-budget production aims to revive the memory of the now-demolished Kowloon walled city and boost local tourism. The film, set in the 1980s, follows a troubled youth navigating the densely populated and lawless enclave, learning life lessons, and battling a notorious crime lord. The Kowloon walled city, once the world's densest settlement, was notorious for its poor living conditions and rampant criminal activity. Louis Koo Tin Lock, one of the film's protagonists, expressed hope that the movie would introduce the historical site to tourists and invigorate Hong Kong's tourism scene. South China Morning Post, BC Rangers' recent Sapling Cup victory has highlighted the urgent need for a revamp in youth football development in Hong Kong. The club's owner, Philip Lee Fai Lap, and captain, Lam Ka Wai, emphasized the importance of nurturing young talent to improve the local game. Despite ending a 29-year trophy drought, Lee announced his departure as a club director, citing financial burdens and lack of fan interest. Lam, who is retiring, pointed out that local players need to enhance their speed, physicality, and confidence to compete with foreign players. The Sapling Cup, aimed at providing opportunities for under-22 players, is currently the only bridge to first-team football. The local FA's Vision 2025 includes the ambitious Hong Kong 2034 project, targeting World Cup qualification, but achieving this requires substantial improvements in youth development and attracting more fans and sponsors to the sport. South China Morning Post, in Hong Kong, someone falls victim to a scam every 13 minutes, often losing significant amounts of money. Scam tactics are constantly evolving, and victims find themselves navigating a complex and frustrating process to dispute fraudulent transactions. A recent victim recounts how a phishing message led to an unauthorized 11,984 Hong Kong dollars and 90 cents charge on their Citibank credit card, with no alerts for the price discrepancy. Legislative Council member Johnny Ng Kitchong advocates for a joint platform involving financial, IT, and telecommunications sectors to better support scam victims. The current system leaves victims to report incidents to banks and the police, often facing conflicting advice and lengthy dispute processes. Despite some improvements in fraud awareness and authentication measures, the number of online scams remains high, with significant financial losses. Many victims are left to bear the financial burden of these scams, highlighting the need for more robust protections and support systems. South China Morning Post. Hong Kong retiree Lau Ka-chen, 83, faced a daunting 10-hour wait at a government dental clinic in Tsuen Wan just to register for a tooth extraction. Arriving at 2 p.m. on Thursday, he was second in line but wouldn't be registered until midnight, only to see the dentist the following day. This excruciating wait is a common ordeal for many, as the clinic, like others in the region, operates under a quota system, treating a maximum of 42 patients twice a week. The situation is dire for those like Lau, who cannot afford private clinic fees ranging from 800 Hong Kong dollars to 2,000 Hong Kong dollars per tooth. An 81-year-old woman named Chan shared a similar plight, needing to remove 9 decayed teeth but limited to 1 extraction per visit. The midnight registration system, introduced in 2022, has been heavily criticized, prompting the Department of Health to allow pre-registration at 8 p.m. Despite this, the long waits persist due to unchanged daily quotas. The shortage of dental appointments has worsened, with a 50% drop from 40,322 in 2018 to 19 to 20,337 in 2022 to 23, attributed to the pandemic and staffing issues. Plans to introduce a digital ticketing system and expand the elderly healthcare voucher scheme to mainland Chinese cities are underway, but patients' rights advocate Tim Pang Hungchong warns that these measures are only temporary fixes for a deeper manpower crisis. South China Morning Post. Hong Kong's women's sevens rugby team, led by head coach Andy Vilk, faces a challenging weekend in Poland for the Challenger Series leg, as several key players have been drafted into the 15th team for the Asia Rugby Championship, ARC. Despite the setback, Vilk sees this as an exciting opportunity for new talent to shine. Since his appointment last August, Vilk has led the team to notable successes, including an Asian Games bronze and qualification for the Olympic repechage. However, the Sevens squad will be without stalwarts like captain Natasha Olsen-Thorne and tri-machine Chong Ka-yin, who are crucial for the 15th team's campaign to qualify for the Rugby World Cup. Vilk emphasizes the importance of balancing short-term challenges with long-term goals and is optimistic about the new faces stepping up. The team has shown remarkable progress, finishing 7th in the second Challenger Series leg in Uruguay. This weekend, they face tough competition from China, Thailand, and the Czech Republic. Vilk highlights the importance of competitive experiences and full-time training for player growth. A warm-up match against Belgium provided valuable exposure to different playing styles, helping the new players adapt. Experienced players like Nam Ka-man and Jessica Ho will lead the team, ensuring the transmission of the established culture and strategies. South China Morning Post. Anthony Bourdain's endorsement of Bobby Gouling, the spiced Balinese roast pork, catapulted the dish into global fame, but its roots run deep in Balinese culture and history. Bali, the only Hindu-majority state in Indonesia, has a rich tradition of preparing this dish for special occasions like weddings and Hindu festivals. Originally, Bobby Gouling was not served in restaurants until the 1980s. Madam Oka, owner of Warung Bobby Gouling Ibu Oka, revolutionized its accessibility by selling individual portions to tourists, thanks to a royal family connection. Preparing Bobby Gouling is labor-intensive, involving stuffing pigs with spices and slow roasting them over charcoal. The dish's popularity has nearly driven the native Bali black swayback pig to extinction, as farmers turn to faster-growing European breeds to meet demand. George, owner of Bali Heritage Pigs, is working to preserve this native breed, despite the economic challenges. Bobby Gouling, traditionally eaten in a communal setting, reflects the strong sense of community in Balinese culture. While it holds a special place in ceremonial dining, it is not representative of everyday Balinese cuisine, which varies regionally. The dish's significance goes beyond its taste, embodying the communal spirit and cultural heritage of Bali. Telegraph, the outgoing head of the British Army, Gen. Sir Patrick Sanders, has issued a stark warning that the UK's defence must extend beyond the borders of Europe, highlighting the growing threat from China. Speaking in Poland during his final major NATO exercise, Sir Patrick emphasized the importance of continental commitment to bind allies and deter adversaries. His comments come in the wake of a significant data breach by Chinese hackers targeting UK armed forces personnel. with the British Army set to shrink to its smallest size since the Napoleonic era, Sir Patrick's remarks are seen as a critique of the government's defense funding. He underscored the need to learn from the Ukraine conflict and bolster deterrence, showcasing the success of Operation Mobilize, which saw the deployment of over 16,000 troops and thousands of vehicles in NATO's largest exercise in Europe in 40 years. As he prepares to step down, Sir Patrick's parting words serve as a reminder of the global nature of threats facing the UK and the necessity of sustained investment in defense. South China Morning Post, Sunisa, Suni, Lee, the 2020 Olympic gymnastics champion, is making a remarkable comeback for the 2024 Paris Olympics, despite battling an incurable kidney disease. Describing her struggle with the illness, Lee shared her determination to prove herself once again on the world stage. At just 21, she has already made history as the first Hmong American Olympian and has been recognized by Time magazine as one of the 100 most influential people in the world. Lee's journey is one of resilience and inspiration, having also competed on Dancing with the Stars and balancing her collegiate career at Auburn University. Her diagnosis in 2023 initially cast doubt on her future in gymnastics, but a pivotal phone call reignited her passion and commitment to the sport. A fan of Justin Bieber and Harry Potter, Lee remains a relatable figure despite her extraordinary achievements, embodying the spirit of perseverance and ambition. Guardian, Yonaguni, a tranquil Japanese island closer to Taipei than Tokyo, finds itself at the heart of escalating Taiwan-China tensions. Known for its idyllic scenery and unique wildlife, Yonaguni's strategic location has led to increased militarization, with plans to expand its self-defense force base and build evacuation shelters. The island's 1,500 residents express growing unease over the potential for conflict, fearing that Yonaguni could be drawn into a Taiwan emergency. The local government is focused on defense, with plans to deploy surface-to-air missiles and extend the airport and port. This has sparked concerns among residents about the island becoming a target. The presence of U.S. Ambassador Rahm Emanuel underscores Yonaguni's rising strategic importance. Critics argue that the island is being used as a pawn in a geopolitical struggle between China and the U.S., with the military buildup potentially increasing the risk of conflict. Despite these tensions, some residents advocate for closer ties with Taiwan, hoping to preserve Yonaguni's unique cultural and historical connections. The Sydney Morning Herald, the peculiar relationship Australians have with space becomes evident when comparing Sydney to cities like Hong Kong, London, and Paris. In Hong Kong, space is maximized due to severe geographical limitations, leading to high-density living with multifunctional green spaces. London feels densely packed, with older tube lines and intimate public spaces, while Paris is a model of density and beauty, with small apartments and frequent metro stations. In contrast, Sydney sprawls luxuriously, with spacious homes, large cars, and expansive public venues. Despite high levels of public green space, there is a persistent belief that more is needed. The Australian preference for larger spaces extends to housing, where smaller apartments are often criticized. This mindset presents a challenge for urban planners and politicians who must convince the public to embrace higher density and shared spaces for a more vibrant urban life. Telegraph, isolationism, while instinctively appealing, is a flawed policy in a world where interference by foreign powers is inevitable. The West, particularly Britain, must recognize the need for constant effort to maintain national security, extending beyond physical borders to sea lanes, trade routes, and cyberspace. The concept of a world crisis requires a global perspective, as seen in past world wars and the Cold War. Today, threats from China, Russia, and Iran demand a similar understanding. Both Putin and Xi Jinping have used historical narratives to justify their expansionist ambitions. The West's failure to respond decisively to earlier aggressions, such as Russia's annexation of Crimea and China's crackdown in Hong Kong, has emboldened these powers. the West must now understand that we are rapidly approaching a global crisis that could lead to war, necessitating strong deterrence and a unified response to prevent conflict. Nikkei Asia, Super High International, the overseas operator of Haidaleo hot pot restaurants, saw a significant surge of 46% in its stock price on its debut on the Nasdaq, following its initial public offering, IPO, at $19.56 per share. This dual listing, first in Hong Kong and then in the US, aims to expand its shareholder base and fund further international expansion. Haidaleo, which started in 1994 in Sichuan, China, operates over 1,300 restaurants in China and 115 overseas. This IPO is notable as it comes amid strained US-China relations and follows the recent successful IPO of Chinese EV maker Zeekr. The listing marks a cautious return of Chinese companies to U.S. markets after regulatory issues and geopolitical tensions had previously stalled such activities. Super High's successful debut highlights the potential for Chinese businesses to attract international investors despite ongoing challenges. Yahoo US reports that Humankind Ministries in Wichita, Kansas, has appointed Don Shepler as its new CEO. Shepler, a seasoned leader in the nonprofit sector, previously served as the executive director for the Mental Health and Substance Abuse Coalition. Her extensive experience includes collaboration with local nonprofits, healthcare programs, and law enforcement to address mental health, substance abuse, and homelessness. Shepler's appointment follows the tenure of Latasha St. Arnaud, who initiated significant projects like the Studios, a 54-unit apartment complex for the homeless, and a $10 million campaign for a new family housing complex. Humankind Board Chair Scott Eilert praised Shepler's passion and regional experience, emphasizing her ability to partner with various community leaders to combat homelessness. As Shepler steps into her new role, she aims to continue expanding affordable housing and supportive services for the community's most vulnerable populations. South China Morning Post highlights the significant role of Xiao Baikim, Taiwan's incoming vice president, as a pivotal figure in U.S.-Taiwan relations. Xiao, who served as Taiwan's de facto ambassador to the U.S. from 2020 to 2023, has garnered strong support in Washington and is well-versed in foreign policy and national security issues. Her tenure is marked by efforts to strengthen U.S.-Taiwan relations, including a proposed reciprocal tax treaty and a potential trade agreement. Despite her popularity in Washington, Xiao is viewed unfavorably by Beijing due to her advocacy for Taiwanese independence and global support for the island. Analysts believe Xiao's appointment could bring Taiwan closer to the U.S., a prospect that worries China. As she prepares to work alongside President-elect William Lai Ching-te, Xiao's diplomatic skills and connections are expected to play a crucial role in navigating the complex dynamics of U.S.-Taiwan-China relations. The New York Times delves into the rising phenomenon of transnational repression, where autocratic governments target their citizens abroad. Recent events in London, including the arrest of 3 men accused of aiding the Hong Kong intelligence service, have brought this issue to the forefront. The British Foreign Office condemned China's actions, highlighting a pattern of behavior aimed at suppressing dissidents who have resettled in the UK. This trend of transnational repression is not new but has gained prevalence with globalization and the Internet, which facilitate both activism and surveillance. Experts like Dana Moss from Notre Dame and Marlies Glazius from the University of Amsterdam note that autocracies have historically monitored exiles, but modern technology has amplified their ability to do so. The phenomenon underscores the ongoing struggle between autocratic regimes and their diasporas, who continue to advocate for political change despite the risks. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.